Shimoneta is an anime that genuinely made me laugh all the way through, with the main premise of each joke containing something related to yeah, that's pretty funny. Now hear me out, guys. But before we get into this filthy anime, let me introduce myself. I am Gorlok and I do anime. That's basically all I really do. Now I'm pretty much the physical embodiment of Captain Cool's love for anime just pushed into a corner because he doesn't have time for things like anime and wants to focus on the more important things, which I don't really understand because anime is the most important thing in my life. Now, Shimoneta is an anime about morality and keeping the masses unaware of sex and anything immoral. You know what? Just listen to the deep-voiced dude. I think he does a better job explaining it.
The future, Japan. For decades, the law for public order and morals and healthy child raising has banned all sexual content, has turned what used to be an island nation of anything-goes sexual deviancy into the country with the healthiest
Thanks, dub
public
voice that I
morality
definitely
order.
listen to every single episode. I didn't. But yeah, the show starts out with our main character riding a train to his brand new school that holds the highest morality rate in all of Japan, for the main purpose of being reunited with a childhood friend that he holds dear to his heart. We'll get into her a little bit later. But this premise means that everyone in school, as well as the entire country of Japan, is unaware of most things sexual and anything indecent. Suddenly, our main character, Okuma, notices a man across the train staring at him with monkey-like intent. Literally, monkey-like intent. When out of nowhere, the man's blamed for touching a woman's gluteus maximus. Yeah, that's exactly the word that she uses. Now, Okuma thinks the man is innocent and finds a way to disguise himself with a bandana. He then runs up to the two and yells that he was the one that actually touched her and found a way to escape with only the woman to follow him. We then learned that her intentions were to get money out of the whole situation, and that's pretty much what Okuma thought. And Okuma kind of knew that going into it. As this is all going down, the woman then turns and yells for police to get involved when a bunch of police officers, a whole army, a plethora of different characters come out of nowhere, chasing Okuma down and trying to get him. When suddenly, Blue Snow shows up. Poof, right atop this train station, yelling out, "Big penis." That got me laughing. That got me dying. Now, what you don't know about Blue Snow is that she is the leader of a terrorist group called Socks. And these kind of terrorists aren't like, you know, these terrorists. They're the type of good terrorists, I would guess. She's trying to spread awareness for sexual urges to the masses. And as she does this, she throws out dirty pictures of naked men and women as a distraction to escape with both Okuma and herself, free of any time in the pen. And this starts the story's main premise. We then find out that Blue Snow turns out to be one of Okuma's classmates in the form of Ayama. Ayama comes in, snags Okuma, and brings him to the student council office, where we meet other characters who are a part of the council that will be important throughout the show. Now, let's get on to some of the cast, because we're actually treated with a large amount of characters that really bring a lot to the show, but I'm not going to be able to get into all of them, so in this review I'll stick to the main ones that I know and love, and leave the rest behind Funimation's paywall, or a random sketchy website you find online. Now, Okuma is the main boy of this show, and it starts out with him being pretty cool, saving this random guy he doesn't even know, but then we start finding out his true intents of why he's going to the school in the first place, and we also find out that he's kind of a little wuss. And it irks me how in the first episode he's super risky and gets involved with something that'll surely take away his school privileges, but after that he tries to play things a little bit more safe, but gets involved with a group called Socks. And I genuinely put myself in his shoes sometimes and ask myself, what the hell am I doing? I would go in hardcore in some of the situations that he's getting involved in. But for the lack of awareness that Okuma has, I'll have to give him a 5. He does good things, and he also does bad things, and by the end of the show, I think he actually is a pretty solid character, but he still makes me question a few of his choices. Now, Ayama, aka Blue Snow, don't tell anybody, okay? This is our secret. We're all a part of Socks now. Is the first contender for Best Girl. And I mean, her first line was literally big penis, but it's interesting how the most inappropriate person in the show is also the most mature. She honestly stays the same throughout, but brings a large amount of the comedy, and she inevitably wins Best Girl, but that's thanks to everybody else being a total psychopath. I think I'll give her a 7. I think she's a pretty solid character at the end of the day, and you know what? She rocks glasses and she looks good doing it. And also panties on her head. I'm just saying. And then there's Anna. I told you I'd get back around to that childhood character, okay? But she's the president of the student council as well as the main love interest for Okuma, and although she starts off pure and sweet, she inevitably turns out crazy to the point where she's head over balls for our main character, leading him to totally be afraid of her. She brings out a lot of interesting side content to the show that either left me in shock or disgust. But at the end of the day, she's still a pretty solid character nonetheless. And yeah, she's the one from this iconic scene. I'll give her a 7 out of 10 as well. And then we meet the monkey man from the train. And he's one of the guys that you meet on the student council as well. Of course, it's a small world here in Japan. Gorky is strictly business at first and wants nothing to do with Okuma, and his only intent is to really help out the school and Anna's goals. Now, throughout the show, he is the most side character of all, but certain plot devices come up that bring out a more interesting side of the big monkey man. So at the end of the day, put some respect on my man Goroki. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. That means all of these characters are better than the main character. That sounds about right, guys. This is an anime after all. And then we meet the rest of the characters throughout the show, and they do a good job adding a lot of the comedy and just overall entertaining moments to the show. But again, I'm gonna leave these guys behind the paywall that is you giving time to the show in the first place. Let's do a little speed round for the ratings of these characters. Now, Fua is the scientist in the show, and she is probably the most curious out of the bunch to find out what sex is. She's got green hair, and of course she's going to be the best girl because scientist characters are always the best girls, okay? Come on, guys. Put some respect on science, please. I'll give her an 8. That means she is the best character as of right now. Otome, on the other hand, is in almost every single episode, and she's an artist, and she does a pretty good job depicting some things that I cannot show on this channel. And she adds a lot to the organization of Socks by creating the lewd pictures that she spreads throughout the entire school. She is also extremely tiny and at times a little annoying, so I'm gonna give her a 5 out of 10. And then there's Penis Girl. You know what? I'll give her a 4. I don't like her at all, and she literally has a penis for her hair. It's ridiculous, and I think at one point, like, stuff comes out of it. If you're gonna avoid this show, this is why you avoid this show. I absolutely hate her. Now let's move on to the art. The art in this show is pretty standard, and at times it can look really good, and at others, it's pretty iffy. And I feel like it got worse throughout the show, but I don't really know. It's nothing too crazy. But what makes up for the creativity behind the art is the character designs. I think all of these characters look extremely cool or adorable, and I gotta give that a plus. However, if you are going to try and continue the story within the manga, don't expect that same art because it goes for a more old-fashioned look, and it doesn't really sit well with me for whatever reason. And at the end of the day, I can live with the art, I can live with the character design, but the censorship they put into this show is just so childish. For a show that is based around something so mature, I just don't understand some of the stuff they're doing here with censorship. We've seen more of Ippo Makino Uchi's penis from Fighting Spirit than we have any penis in this show, so come on, guys, you can give us a little bit more. I ain't gay. At the end of the day, I'll give JC Staff a 7 out of 10. Very modest, I know, but the art doesn't really bother me too much, and the character design does bring it up a lot. Overall, for a show like this, I actually really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna be honest, the crude jokes really did it for me in this. You don't see a lot of this type of comedy inside of anime nowadays, because a lot of it is that foreign humor that we're not accustomed to over in the States, but you know what's always funny? A good dick, balls, and joke, which all of that's probably going to be censored, but who really cares? But at the same time, when the jokes didn't hit, they were a little bit more cringy than funny, but it left me laughing, or at the bare minimum, reacting to some of the crazier moments of the show. The main problem I had with it was the plot points that just came out of nowhere and didn't really add too much from the story. I didn't even get on to the main antagonist of the show, Gathered Fabric, because it's such a weird thing to put in at the last second. Plus, that guy's a freaking creep, dude. Those moments all together with him in it, I don't even know his name. It's just, it's gross because he's wearing these wet panties all over his body, and the sound effects that they have in it, pretty good, but also very gross. But on the other hand, some people might like that arc more than I did. It's just an opinion, and this is also my opinion. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 overall. Again, solid comedy, but if you're looking for a good story, you're not really gonna get it for the awesome plot that it does have. So guys, what did you think of the show? And if you haven't watched it yet, go check it out, come back here, and leave the review down there. And while you're at it, support the channel, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Go watch some anime.